Okay, let's talk a little bit about combat and how that happens. And we'll cover also avoid battles and interceptions, very briefly. So let's bring Lance back into French Comte. We'll remove these markers. We'll try to reinstate it more or less the way that it was. And we'll assume that the French has actually had played a 6 CP card. So Lance advances onto the Austrians and he moves 1, he moves 2, he moves 3, and now he wants to move for 4 into Prague. Now, because he's actually going through a mountain pass into an enemy controlled territory, he will have to roll for attrition, but let's assume that he rolled for his attrition, and we'll just do it anyways. So what have we got here? 2, 3, 4, 5, plus himself is 6. We'll roll 6 dice. We'll do it proper. Alright, in this case he did not roll any 6, so nothing happened. So he succeeded in doing that. Now, Ferdinand here, see that Lance is a much more capable leader than him, because his battle rating is higher, and he's commanding more troops, and he does not really wish to take the battle. So he will try to avoid the battle. To avoid the battle, or to intercept, for both cases, you always need to roll 9 on 2 dice. You can add to it a few things. If you try to avoid battle to friendly territory, as he would try to do, then you can add +1. You can also add the battle rating of the commander, and there's other modifiers as well. I believe there might be a modifier because Lance tried to move through a mountain pass, but I'm not 100% sure. It doesn't matter. Let's assume that for now the modifier is just a +2. So he would declare that he wants to avoid battle to Moravia, and he will roll 2 dice. And after rolling 2 dice, +2, 7 plus 2 is 9, he succeeded to move to Moravia. But let's assume that he failed. If he failed to roll... Now first, before we get there, why would you want to avoid battle is of course when there's a superior force coming to attack you. Why would you want not to do it is because if you fail the avoid battle roll, then 2 things happen. First, you will not get any of the terrain modifier. So in this case, because Lance attacking through a mountain pass, then Ferdinand in the battle will get a couple of extra battle dice because of that approach. So if he tried to avoid battle and he failed, then he would not actually get the terrain modifier, which would be bad for Ferdinand. Another reason is if he fails the roll, the attacker will also get a battle die for each attempted roll that was failed. So in this case, Ferdinand does only 1 roll, so it would be, if he fails the avoid battle roll, Lance will roll an additional dice during battle. If Ferdinand wasn't there, just for example, each one of these units individually could have tried to avoid battle, but again they would roll 2d6, 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 all on a 9. It'll be very difficult for them because they don't get the command bonus, because Ferdinand is not with them, and for each failed roll, they would actually have to give a battle die to Lance for the first round of the battle. But let's assume that didn't happen, and Lance actually reached there. And let's, to make it easier, because I can't remember the modifiers for a mountain pass, let's say he moved like this to Linz and Ferdinand was at Linz. A battle is very simple. You just add all of the forces that you have, plus the battle rating for Lance. It's as if Lance has 2 units with him inherently. Plus, you add 2 dice if you are French, and the majority of your forces there are French. So obviously 100% of the forces here are French, so Lance would add an additional 2 dice just for being French. If you are not French, and you are one of the other major powers, you add 1 die, again, as long as more than 50% of your forces are of the same nationality. So Ferdinand will add +1. Why is that important? it is important because of something that we will discuss a bit later called army groups. So it could very well be that Ferdinand commands his Austrian troops, but he also commands, let's say, Borisov, no, let's say he commands Kutuzow here. They might actually be able to command together. He will be the army group leader and he will be under his command. And then it's very important to see whether you've got more than 50% of the same nationality. But for now, let's just make it simple. It's just Lanz versus Ferdinand as is. So Lanz actually has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for Lanz, 8, 9 for French. Lanz will roll 9 dice. Ferdinand will roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Ferdinand, and 6 for being Austrian. 9 dice versus 6 dice. Let's see what happens. On the first round of combat, there's only going to be 2 rounds. If the attacker does not succeed in 2 rounds to win, then they have to retreat. We basically roll the dice that are allotted, which are 9 dice for the French and 6 for the Austrian. And you're trying to get as many 6s and 5s as possible. 6s are kills, 5s are disrupts. So, for example, the French rolled 9 dice, and we have 1, 2, 3 kills. We put it on 3. And 1 disrupt, for a total of 4 casualties. Now we'll do the same thing with Ferdinand. He's got 6 dice, and we are rolling 6 dice. He has 1 kill and 1 disrupt. 1 kill, 1 disrupt. Kills are very simple, so we can do them immediately. The French kill 3, the Austrian kill 1. You basically remove the appropriate units, send them to eliminated. It is, and he lost 3. So let's find out what we can do. Eliminated, eliminated. As it were, the number of casualties that the French inflicted is 4 versus 2 of the Austrian, so the French would have won that battle and Ferdinand would have to retreat. However, let's assume that that wasn't the case, and let's say that 1 plus 3, let's say this was the situation. Ferdinand actually inflicted 3 disrupts, so the number of casualties are the same, even though the number of kills was different. Disrupts basically mean that those X number of units, in this case 3 that the Austrians had inflicted on the French and 1 that the French had inflicted on the Austrian, are basically out of the battle for both rounds. Or for the second round rather, because this would have happened in the first round. Then what it would mean is that the next time they roll the dice, remember Lanz rolled 9, but he lost 1 unit for the kill, so he would roll 8, and now he would have lost 3 units for the disrupt, so he would actually roll 5 dice. Linz, on the other hand, started with 6 dice. He lost 3 units, so from the kills, so he rolls 3 dice, but because there is 1 disrupt, he would roll 2 dice for the second round of combat. And that is essentially how it goes. However, there's a special rule that is quite interesting. If ever the number of casualties, let's say even something like that, if the number of casualties that the winner had inflicted on the loser is 3 or greater, and you can see it's 4 that the Austrian inflicted versus 7 that the French inflicted, then what happens is a rout. A rout essentially means that all of the opponent's units that were disrupted, in this case 6 disrupted units, or as many as could have been, all become 6s. Essentially they are all killed. So routs can be quite dangerous. Interceptions is kind of similar to avoid battle in the mechanic. Unlike avoid battle, only led armies can intercept. So, as we have shown before, if Lanz tries to attack Vienna, this lone unit here can try to run away and avoid battle. However, if Lanz tries to move on to Linz, this unit here is not allowed to intercept him because you have to have a led army. However, Ferdinand can. So it's the same as avoid battle. He would have moved to Linz. Ferdinand would try to intercept him at Linz. And Ferdinand will roll 2d6 plus his battle rating plus any kinds of terrain modifiers. And if he reaches 9 on two sides, on 2 dice, he would successfully intercept. Fairly simple.